So welcome back to part 2 of four-wheel drive swapping your two-wheel drive truck. We are many days later on the project and we've gotten a lot done so far. Let me show you guys. So as you see, we took off most of the front stuff, front core support, headlights, bumper. But what I've been busy doing is wire wheeling the frame. I put this tarp down so I wasn't getting grease everywhere all over, stuck into the concrete, but you can kind of see it's a little dusty down there. There's a bunch of grease down in there. I got these 2 buckets for collecting the power steering fluid because I ended up taking off my power steering box, which is right here. Now I say I regret doing that because I think it was kind of stupid and a waste of time. What I was planning on doing was cleaning up the whole frame, wire wheeling it, and then ended up painting the frame, make it all nice and neat with, I bought f350, and I was just gonna end up doing that and then putting I don't like glossy frames, so I was gonna end up putting on like a matte finish. I just think glossy frames are, I just think it's too shiny. It's like stuff isn't really supposed to be shiny unless it's powder coated. So I was gonna do that, but I thought about it, and just with all the grease that's everywhere, I'm not gonna get it perfect. Like especially, like for example, granted, yeah, I could wash this down and use degreaser and everything on the frame, but it's gonna take forever. And also, you can't get, you're not gonna be able to get inside of the frame that well. Which it's like, what's the point of doing a frame if you can't get inside of it nice and neat and, you know, make everything nice? Now, my current plan, instead of wire wheeling the frame, doing all that and everything, I'm just gonna go ahead and start assembling, putting the axles in. I'm gonna put the coil buckets on. So I'm gonna go ahead, put the coil buckets on, get the axle slid underneath there, start bolting on all suspension components, get the radius arms bolted on underneath, and then the plan is then take this truck out of the storage unit. Yes, I am working in a storage unit. Take it out of the storage unit, take it to a pressure washer, quarter car wash, get the frame real nice and the inside of the engine bay real nice. So then I have a sandblaster accessible at work, so I can just get it sandblasted real nice. It'll knock off all that grease and grime, knock off the flaky rust. Granted, I don't have that much of flaky rust. It's all like surface rust. It's not like real big flakes or anything. This frame was mint when I bought this truck from Kentucky. It wasn't like, I mean, it still had the factory coating. I drove it one winter in Michigan, and that's what the frame looks like now. I might have a picture of what the frame looked like when I bought it. If I do, I'll throw that up right now. But yeah, it's, being a rust belt sucks. All you're doing is fighting rust, and I hate it. I love it, but I hate it. Love the snow, hate the salt. Wish they did something else, but it's the life I live. So with the bolts and stuff that I bought at Tractor Supply, I'm hoping these ones are gonna work. A lot of people just go with 7/16 bolts, but I saw another video, some guy uses 1/2 inch, and he says it's a much better fit. 7/16, when you kind of get in a hole, it's able to wobble around just a little bit. Yeah, I know you can bolt them all on in there, because you got these 4 holes that you could use, plus the 1, and then you got the 2 underneath that you're going to use. So once you get all those on there, even with the little bit of wiggle room they have, it's still going to go in there perfectly tight and not have no problem, alignment issues or anything. But all he said you had to do was just drill these holes out the 1/2 inch, both up here and down underneath, and the same on the coil buckets. You got to drill these holes out 1/2 inch and underneath to use these bolts. I believe these were 1/2 inch by 2.5, and that should be plenty. The frame is only a 1/4 inch thick, same with the coil buckets, so should have plenty of room to get underneath. And for anybody who doesn't know, because I honestly didn't know. You can bolt them down from the inside, so you're not having to reach through the frame or anything, but the frame is open over here. So if you ever wondered, hey, you know, how long of a bolt am I gonna need? I think 2.5, 3 inches should be plenty. So let's go ahead and get these drilled out. So now we got our coil buckets on both sides. I didn't end up using that middle hole because of how big these washers are. They were overlapping from this hole, so you would either have to have a washer overlapping on this one. So I didn't want the washers overlapping, and you don't really need another bolt in that one. I mean, 4 on here and then the 2 underneath is definitely plenty. But I know I said it earlier on the video, these are not 2.5s I used. These are 1/2 inch by 1.5 bolts. And if you're worried about how much thread engagement you have, that's how much thread engagement I have, with a washer on both sides, a lock washer, and a regular nut. So all that's next to do is I'm going to clean up this mess. That's where I was scraping in the grease into that. I'm gonna clean up this mess, get all of this, get the tarp out of here, shake the tarp into the trash can that's over there, and then go ahead and roll this axle underneath. Get these Carly springs out, leveling springs, set them in underneath. Let's do it. Well, I thought it was time to go ahead and roll this axle underneath, but the track bar mount is too high and the sway bar end links are too high. Yeah, I could take them off, but I'm feeling lazy right now, so all it's gonna hit is on this bottom crash bar. I'm just gonna go ahead and take this off because the sway bar end links will slide right on underneath here. Be okay, but go ahead, take these out. Just a couple bolts up underneath the frame. Now there's so much more room for activities. All right, we got the axle rolled underneath here. It's not perfect. So as you see, it's not centered. I think next what I'm going to do is go ahead and bolt the trailing arms up underneath. So like I said, on the 2-wheel drives, it was bolted up to that front hole. On 4-wheel drives, it's going to go to that rear hole because the radius arms are much longer than a 2-wheel drive. Not much, but that decent bit. So we're going to go ahead and mount those radius arms up, and then next I'm going to start by, I gotta get this truck up higher, and kind of limited by the items I can use. I might have to go get some blocks of wood or try and figure something out, because those springs, the Carly springs, Carly Ford 2.5 leveling springs, are not going to fit underneath there right now. You don't have that much room, so let's put those trailing arms up. Alright, as you've seen on the time lapse, we got the truck higher. I just ended up using my brand new Daytona jack and my brand new Daytona 12-ton jacks. I used my other old jack, and we just jacked it up from the back of the radius arms on both sides. As you saw, I just swapped from side to side to side, eventually until I got it up high enough. And then we got the axle rolled underneath here, got it bolted up on both sides of the radius arms. I had these bolts from Tractor Supply here. I bought these from Tractor Supply because the old ones from the two-wheel drive system, I ended up messing up the threads on the one side, so I figured those bolts were going to be pretty expensive at Ford. I haven't looked yet, so I just got these at Tractor Supply, and for these two bolts with two washers, a lock washer and a regular nut, it was only 20 bucks. But as you may have seen on the time lapse, I was trying to get it in this trailing arm over here, and the bolt itself was just too thick to go through the bushing in the trailing arm, radius arm, whatever you want to call it. So next what I'm up to is we're going to go ahead and come on this side. I got the wheels off too, so I can, you know, reach in here and access things better, not have to reach over wheel and tire. But next we're going to do is get the track bar bracket up here and mounted. These are factory holes that you're going to have on the engine cradle, and all it is just a 3 little bracket like this. You're going to go ahead and put it through. Then I got 3 nuts, so it's going to attach through here. And then luckily the axle that I bought from the dude, he took out these factory ones, which are pretty sweet. I thought I was going to have to use the same things like these that I used on the coil buckets, but that's pretty cool. So, but also you want to get your coil bucket on first before you put your track bar on. If you put the track bar on, you're not going to be able to get the coil bucket on, because the track bar mounts in through that hole right there, right next to this bolt. So it goes through that hole right there. So you got one right there, and then one right here next to the sway bar bolts that are on both sides. That one's behind the external trans filter, which is pointless. If anybody knows a way to get rid of that, and minimize these lines. Well, not minimize the lines, obviously you're gonna have to have lines run into the cooler, but if anybody can let me know how you get these trans lines just to go straight to the cooler without doing that external trans filter, let me know. Put it in the comment section. But yeah, let's get this track bar bracket up and mounted on the frame. Then next after that, we're gonna go ahead and do the steering stabilizer, sway bar, and unfortunately we can't do the drag link because I don't have my steering box in. So we'll do that once we get a new steering box, a new 4x4 pitman arm, but here we go. So we got the track bar up and mounted, and also the steering stabilizer up and mounted over there. You saw me kind of fighting with the track bar still. There's the track bar down right there. You saw me fighting with the track bar in the track bar mount. I just ended up taking it off. Also, the axle wasn't centered on the frame rail, so what the track bar is designed to do is center the axle on the frame rail, so the axle can shift this way or this way without the track bar. But with the track bar, it makes it perfectly center on the truck. So instead of fighting it, I just ended up taking it off. To help center your axle, if you're ever installing a track bar and it's off, get a ratchet strap, tie it somewhere on the one side of the axle up over into any of these holes and ratchet strap it, or if it's too far towards you, go ahead and do the opposite. So tie it on this side of the axle and then ratchet strap it that way, and that always helps. Also, for it to roll a lot easier, I put a jack underneath it. But I'm gonna need my sway bar mounts brackets back from the 2-wheel drive system. I ended up putting those in a scrap pile at work, so hopefully that didn't get scrapped yet. But yeah, all that's about left is I gotta tighten down those bolts up on the steering stabilizer, install the sway bar, put the springs in, drop the axle down, install the track bar, and this thing will be on its way pretty soon here. But I'm calling it a night. I gotta be out of here at 10 o'clock. It's already 9:55, so see you guys tomorrow. So we're a couple days later. That was doing a little bit of work on that Sunday. It's now Tuesday night, and as you see from the time lapse, it's on its own feet. We're not done completely with the 4-wheel drive swap. I'm just getting as far as I can right now because I'm going to end up power washing the frame and all the inside of the engine bay. I mean, it's just so greasy, like I said before. And then I think I might end up sandblasting it. Don't worry, train's gonna come out, so nothing's gonna get in there, and all this stuff's gonna be tied up. But all I have left to do is pop the coil spring insulators in, because it's gonna be a noisy ride if you just run it like that. So I gotta pop those in. Obviously, I still need a steering box, hook up the brake lines, but new brake lines are on the way. Both the four-wheel drive lines from the ABS that goes down to the driver's side, and the one that goes to the passenger side that goes all underneath. So we're waiting on those to come in. We'll get those new lines in. We'll do these soft lines that are over here. I just took this one off because this caliper was sticking and this wheel wouldn't roll well. So, but as you've seen, we got the springs in, sway bar up with the end links, and the track bar up back there. But that's it. That's how you four-wheel drive swap your two-wheel drive 04.5 to current, I believe, f350, f350, 450, 550. It'll go ahead and work for all those years and all those models. Now, when you do have leaf spring front suspension from a OBS and up to an 04, things get a little bit trickier. You're gonna have to drill some holes, like the track bar mount. You're gonna have to drill the holes for that. Coil buckets, I believe you're gonna have to drill more holes for that. There's a little bit more drilling when you already have a leaf spring front suspension. And also, you could go from leaf spring four-wheel drive to coil spring four-wheel drive. I've seen it done on YouTube. It seems as simple as this. This is honestly not hard. I did this in my 40 by 14 storage unit, and I'm not certified in anything. I just, just wrench in my free time. So if I could do it, you could do it. But like, comment, and subscribe.